Hey, welcome. We talked about some test doubles in our previous video and their differences. We saw that they are really handy in some situations, but we should also take the time to discuss their downside. The first downside is some developers strongly believe that using mocks may lead to test suites that test the mock and not the code. Let me give you an example, an analogy here. So imagine that we have two classes, a class A that depends on a class B, and B has a method called the sum that is supposed to always return positive numbers. When testing class A, the developer decides to use a mock version of class B. Everything appears to work as expected, but sometime later, another developer changes the behavior of sum so that it can also return negative numbers. In the normal development process, this change would be made to B and its test would be updated to reflect the changes, right? However, it is possible for the developer to forget to check if A can properly handle this new behavior of sum. As a result, A's test suite may still pass even if it is not handling the change behavior of sum correctly, because the mock version of B used in the test is not aware of the change. In large software projects, it can be easy to lose track of the relationship between those mocks and the real object they represent, leading to mocks that do not accurately reflect the behavior of real objects. Another potential drawback of using mock objects in tests is that the tests become more tightly coupled to the code they are testing, compared to tests that do not use them. Think of it as knowledge. How much does the test suite know about the production code? For that, let's see an example together. So let's return back to our previous example from the last video about test double. And in this view model, I've injected another dependency, which is a logger service. And logger service is just a protocol with its default implementation, printing the emails that have been logged successfully. And currently we are calling it, we are not calling it right now, so I'm going to call it here. Like here we can just say logger service dot log with this email. Once this attempt to login has been successful. So let's now see the test. I'm going to open it here, and for the test, I've already have that mock here. I think where is it? Okay, so it is here, the logger service, and now I'm just going to use this mock inside my test here. Okay, so I'm going to call it here, right? I'm just going to make an assertion that log called count has been called, and it is equal to 1 whenever we call the login and we have a successful login. Okay, so let me just run that, and it is green. So you might be wondering, what is the problem if the code knows too much about this production, the production code, right? If this test, especially this one, knows about the production code, which is right here. Well, so the problem is that the code becomes much harder to change without breaking the test. Like what I mean by that is, if tomorrow we decide to not call this logger service, this log from the logger service, our test might fail, right? So if I run the test, now I have a failed test because the log called count hasn't been called, right? And this is the first problem. So the second problem is that this test knows so much about our view model, right? So it knows that this view model has some dependencies about has a login dependency and a logger dependency. And like I told you, if this production code change, chances are those tests are going to break. So let me undo that and make the test succeed again. All right. So therefore, also using mocks simplify our test, like we saw, they increase the coupling between the test and the production code, which may force us to change the test whenever we change the production code, right? So in order for this to work, let's comment it again. And in order for this test to work now, we have just to maybe delete this, and you can see that we no longer need the logger service now, even though it is injected in the initializer of this view model. So many developers view the close connection between tests using mocks object and the code being tested as a significant negative aspect of mock object. However, some individuals appreciate the fact that tests using mocks object will fail when the way a class interact with another object is also changed. So you should definitely see the trade-off regarding your use case. Finally, mocking can also be time-consuming and error-prone, as you need to create and configure the mock objects in your test. This can add significant overhead to your testing process and may make your test more difficult to maintain over time. So now to summarize, we saw that mocking can be a useful tool in testing, but it can also have some potential drawbacks that you should be aware of. It can make it more difficult to understand the code being tested, harder to test the code thoroughly, and time consuming and error prone to create and configure those mock objects. My take is to use whenever possible real objects in your test, uh, and that testable should be only used where there are no other option, like we did in our view model, where we don't want to hit the real implementation of a network service. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel to support me and stay updated with new content. I appreciate your support, so don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see from me in the future. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next one.